Happy 2021 guys, welcome to the channel, and in this video we're getting into why the Coalition is one of the best studios that the Xbox Game Studios has to offer. Most Xbox Game Studios boasts a really good number of studios and teams creating games, well over 35 or is it 30 teams working on different projects for Xbox and Windows. But in this video, we'll take some time to appreciate the Coalition. The Coalition, formerly known as Zipline Studios, and then Microsoft Game Studios Vancouver, Black Tusk Studios, and then finally the Coalition. So it's gone through a couple of name changes, right? So most people don't really understand that this is actually a young studio when we compare with most of the others. Perhaps there are a few that are younger, right? The initiative, of course, is about 3 years old at this point, but this game studio was formed in 2010, right? And not even for Xbox purposes initially, right? To develop social games, that was the main goal of Zipline Studios. Later on, of course, when they were renamed to Microsoft Games Vancouver, they were working on Microsoft Flight and then a Kinect shooter game called Project Columbia, right? So that's early on, right? Early on in the life of the Coalition, right? But as you guys know, even though Epic was really creating the games for Gears back in the 360 days, Microsoft was not the owner of the Gears IP. In fact, Microsoft bought the Gears IP early on in the generation, in this Xbox One generation that has just ended in 2020, right? So Microsoft acquired the Gears IP, and then at that time, the Zipline Studios was being called Black Tusk, and so they assigned Black Tusk to be the one to push the Gears franchise after acquiring it from Epic. Then, of course, with Rod Ferguson coming in, he was then able to rename the company, called it the Coalition. I myself like the name the Coalition, and then they began working on the Gears franchise, right? Of course, they started with Gears Ultimate to be able to understand how to create a Gears game, Gears of War Ultimate, which was basically a remake of Gears, right? Of the original Gears game, right? So that's basically just a brief history about the Coalition. Right, so just taking a look back and appreciating what the Coalition has done. This generation, of course, we had Gears 4, right? Gears 4, everybody was wondering what's up, where is the Gears of War going, right? Why isn't it, what's with dropping names like Gears of War? Why is it just Gears, not just Gears of War, right? So they under the leadership of Rod Ferguson, I think the team wanted to put its own identity on Gears, and in a number of interviews he's actually been able to express that they needed to strike a balance between making it new and fresh, while at the same time being able to make people have the same Gears feeling that they are aware of, the same Gears gameplay that they are familiar with, the one that they trust, the one that they love. So with Gears 4, it had a good reception, but perhaps the critics mostly pointed out the fact that it reused most of the Gears formula without introducing much of anything alone, right? They basically just made another Gears game, in other words, right? Which was not really a bad thing, considering that most of the scores, it was critically well received, right? It was very, very well received as a Gears game. But of course, everybody kind of felt that, they could have done a little bit more to perhaps make it more unique, right? So Gears of War, or Gears 4, was basically their first introduction, the first Gears game, other than the Ultimate Edition, right? The Ultimate Edition got them comfortable with working with Gears, and then Gears 4 was their actual first game, right? Not a remake. So after Gears 4, of course, I think this released in 2016, and then about 2 or 3 years later, Gears 5 comes out. I think this has been one of the fastest rollout, because in fact, counting back, Gears 4 seemed like it was actually towards the beginning of the exclusives drought, or at least the good ones, right? Most of the games that came out after Gears 4 have not been well received critically, right? In terms of the Xbox Game Studios, right? The games like Crackdown, you know, were not really well received. State of Decay. So it was Gears 4 was the beginning of what we now consider this exclusives drought. So it was an important game for Microsoft this generation, I feel. But I was so impressed to see that in just about 3 years they were able to bring Gears 5 before the new generation began. In fact, if I was Phil Spencer, maybe I would have argued for Gears 5 coming out in the new generation, right? I mean, it came out last year, right? Not last year, this is 2020. It came out in 2018, right? So in less than 3 years, 2.5 years or so, the installment, right, the sequel was released, and that was a big deal, especially in light of the exclusive situations that has been going on with the Xbox Game Studios, especially towards the end of this generation. So Gears 5 was very well received. In fact, I think it was received much better than Gears 4 was. In both situations, the games look very, very good, but I think in Gears 5 they take it up a notch. I mean, Gears 5 look brilliant. I mean, if you consider that this was running on the Xbox One, the original Xbox One, and seeing how it runs even before the Xbox series of consoles came out, you could see that definitely these guys are some of the best Unreal Engine developers out there. Like, they definitely made use of the tools in Unreal Engine, right? So Gears 5 very well received, and even without just mentioning that, I know this video is more of an appreciation of what the Gears the coalition has been able to do. The other things that have made them stand out for me, and why I think they're a really big team for the Xbox Game Studios, is because of the other games that are not mainstream Gears, right? Especially under Rod Ferguson, they really wanted the franchise to be well known, to be recognized in more things, in different genres, other than just the core gameplay, the core genre that we know Gears for, right? This is the only game that still does split screen co-op very well, right? Other than racing games like Forza, right? There are very, very few games that are still doing split screen in campaign, not just in the multiplayer, not just in the, you know, couch co-op when doing like Horde or things like that, but in campaign. This is one of the only few AAA games that is still doing couch co-op excellent, in fact, right? I always look out for the co-op achievement when finishing this game with my brother, right? So if we think about it, they launched Gears Pop. Gears Pop was the mobile game, right? The mobile game that I still play from time to time. I don't play that much. But it's got a core audience. I don't know how many players they reckon monthly, but it's a fun little game. If you're into mobile games, I highly suggest that you try it out. I think it's a good game. I still play it. I'm even part of a group called Halo Spartans. And then we even play Horde on mobile. It's a pretty good game, right? So entering the mobile space was definitely a big deal. Then, of course, we got Gears Tactics, the first strategy game that basically is equivalent to maybe Halo Wars in the Halo franchise, right? So this is a very good game. Of course, it was originally on PC, but with with November coming, we saw that this was also able to come to the Xbox consoles as well. So they've been able to improve in that genre as well. We've got Gears Tactics, which was well received critically as well, right? If you think about most of the scores were averaging around 85, right? The Metacritic is somewhere around 80 something, right? So it was a really well received game, right? So they've tried to push the Gears franchise in different directions, and I think it's kind of made Gears, this generation of Gears, to not go silent. I think if they went with Gears 4 and Gears 5 alone, it would be a little bit of a different story. They would have had success, but I think the name of Gears would not really be as loud as it is right now. I think the coalition is getting a whole lot of credit right now because of everything that they have tried. In the Gears 5, for example, Gears 5 had a lot of operations. I think right now it's on Operation 5, right? Operation 2, Operation 3, Operation 4, Operation 5. Free updates, multiplayer maps, character packs, Batista joined the game, you know the deal. And most of these were free. Gridiron, if you remember, just a number of free DLCs that brought in new maps, new mods, and things like that, and that was really good support. So the first year of Gears 5, excellent support from the coalition. Then on the 1 year period, the 1 year since launch, I think approximately, not exactly, but approximately, we saw that the Hive Busters DLC was released, and Hive Busters has gotten a whole lot of praise, right? From the graphics, but just the simplicity of the campaign and the care to detail, the attention that they've made, right? The characters are completely unique. If you want some different story, different kind of setup, an island, and not the typical environment that Gears plays in, especially in the forest levels, you see that we've got something brewing here. Now, most people like to say the coalition should be given a new IP. I think the Gears 5 Hive Busters DLC shows me anyway, while they can push another project, I think it's better if they continue trying out things like this, like the Hive Busters DLC, to basically improve the Gears name itself. I don't think it would be really good if they created a new game, a completely different game, and then that game has a different name, and then it's really well received critically, well received, and then it's got a different name, a different IP altogether. I think of the way God of War has been, Think of the way God of War has been. God of War 2018, the one that won Game of the Year, that's not like God of War 4 or 5, right? That's like God of War 8. Think about it in that sense. There's been about 8 God of Wars, if you consider all of them that have been out, right? You have God of War 1, 2, 3, of course, the original trilogy on PlayStation 2 and 3, right? You had God of War Chains of Olympus on PSP. You had God of War, there was another God of War on PSP, two God of War games on PSP, and then on the mainstream PlayStation consoles we had God of War Ascension, which was not really God of War 4, but a different God of War game altogether. So just with those that I've mentioned, that's about 6-7 God of Wars, and then the 2018 God of War that came out, that was the recent one, right? So it's taken about 7-8 iterations of God of War for them to actually get very good at making a God of War game. And I think the coalition is just about that point where they can make something really good, right? And I think they should take their time for their next project, because we've got a really good history with Gears, and then now they've been comfortable making a Gears game this generation, and I highly appreciate them for that. They've given us some good experiences this generation. But at the same time, the team has grown. Even though Rod Ferguson left, the team that is left behind is very well capable. The things that they are using, the tools, the cycle that they are using, it's just looking very good in my opinion. And with the fact that we now have 23 studios in the Xbox Game Studios umbrella, we can give them as much time as they need. I don't think they should release Gears 6 in 2 years, right? In 2.5 years or 3 years. I don't think they should do that. They should take at the minimum 4 years. At the minimum 4 years for the next Gears game. They can do smaller things in this period, but the main Gears game that will come out after this, I think that game needs to be, if we go by the way it's been going so far, I think it's going to be something to behold, the Marvel masterpiece in many regards. So that's basically the video. I just wanted to show my appreciation to the coalition, you guys, for some miraculous reason you guys came across this video. Just know you guys really made my gaming experiences this generation, in fact, I would say from the Xbox Game Studios teams, other than the Forza teams, Playground and 1010, I would really give it to the coalition in terms of making my Xbox One generation very interesting. So that's the video. What do you guys think? Do you think the coalition should make a new IP? Do you guys think that they've done a good job? Do you guys disagree? Do you think they could have done better? What do you think about them jumping into different genres like Gears Pop for mobile, Gears Tactics on PC initially and then now on console, and of course the way they've been doing their updates, like Operation Gridiron, the different operations all the way up to Operation 5 and Hive Busters DLC. What do you guys think? So leave your comments below, and if you're not subscribed already, click that red button. Have a good day, guys. Happy 2020. I mean 2021.